All right. Now we're going to move away from this to the Pod Johns talking about unhinged Republican drops extremely racist ad. They're hitting the high notes about Abdul. They're talking about Abdul. They were early Abdul backers, let's be real, to which I give them credit for.
In a very Islamophobic and racist way.
This was like a legitimately good ad. The grandma steals the show. She's so good in this.
Welcome to Political Reference React. Joining me today is the Bulwark Sam Sign. Sam, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Good. We got a bunch of ads to watch. It's been a very long week. We're recording this on a Friday after the Michigan primary. I'm sure, like me, you stayed up too late and woke up too early on that night.
Literally, I had to do way too early the next morning.
Oh, look at you with your
3:45 a.m. I was struggling. Hey, Dan, I was a little bit worried about recording at this time. It's Friday, 1 p.m. Because the ballroom decision came out 2 hours ago. I know you're a big White House ballroom guy, and they stayed the construction of it. So if you want to take a beat and do this later.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for me. So I've been envisioning my first state dinner in the ballroom one day under this Democratic president. Okay, let's get to business here. I want to start with as I mentioned, recording this a few days after Abdul El-Sayed became the Democratic nominee in Michigan. Here is his Republican opponent's Mike Rogers' first ad.
I'm not here to disavow people's views.
America deserved 9/11, dude. I'm saying it.
When I was in college, I took a terror.
I wonder what the Bulwark guy is going to have to say about that. He's going to be like, this is a banger political ad. Abdul El-Sayed should bring Hasan on stage and put a bullet in the back of his head. Only then can we do true centrism. True centrism has never been tried. We just have to pivot to the center, and Abdul can only prove that he's pivoting to the center if he does a ritualistic sacrifice of Hasan. He's Muslim. Muslims do that kind of thing, right? Like with sheep and goats and stuff like that. He should just kill Hasan like that. I'm not Islamophobic, by the way. I'm at Bulwark. I'm a liberal now. Sam actually isn't that bad. I don't know. I don't know anything about him. I just assumed I'm painting him with a broad brush of the rest of the former Bush people that now work at Bulwark.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
I'm not here to disavow people's views.
I am in support of abolishing ICE.
Because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the
Kill those murder those the street. Let the streets soak in their red capitalist bloods, dude.
The people who listen to Hasan are engaging.
That one is pretty funny.
Way forward into our politics.
If you were on the El-Sayed campaign or someone who wanted Mike Rogers to lose, how worried would this ad make you?
Not that worried, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like basically what you would expect.
Okay.
I think he's right.
I probably thought it could have gone in a different direction because it barely featured El-Sayed, right? And it's like a bunch of.
So that's okay. Hit pause real quick. Maybe we'll talk about this. That's what I was struck by it, is that it's like I wouldn't understand the point of that. Like, okay, imagine you're like you're like Grandpa Simpson, and like you see that ad, I would be like, like what? Like it wouldn't. I don't know.
It's just like random black and brown people.
Well, but it's also like what? So what is it like? Is it reminding people that there's a Muslim guy on the ballot? Like, I mean, I don't know.
That is their.
But even that is like, to me, it's like they're going to see his name. I don't think it really matters. Like, that's my point. Is like, I'm not. I don't know. I'm unpersuaded.
This is going to really hurt my chances of winning the Senate
exactly. That's
seat
what I'm
Michigan.
saying, man. You're really cooked right here.
Yeah, I just I had a lot of great ambitions of carpetbagging to the beautiful state of Michigan to defeat Abdul El-Sayed.
Somebody's got to make like a supercut of all the ads against you, frankly, and we can probably make from that like an actual ad that is against candidate Piker. Like at this point, there's got to be like there's like hours of candidate be like.
I think I've probably gotten at this point since I started moving this community's weight around a little bit to push for Zoran. And then all these other candidates, I probably have more attack ads against me than like a small market, like a smaller district Democrat.
I think in some larger district ones too, to be honest.
Yeah, because the New York City mayoral ad push, the Zoran is hanging out with Hasan, best friends with Hasan, buddies with Hasan ad. That was $3 million. And part of that is because the New York market is like very expensive. But like that was $3 million worth of ad spend on just that ad alone. That was Michael Bloomberg, by the way. Shouts out to Michael Bloomberg and the Tisch family for spending those $3 million. It didn't work. But like that literally on its own is a larger amount of ad spend than most, most districts in the country.
When we live in the woke imperium or whatever, we're gonna make them disclose anti-Hasan ads, just like they have to do for the real candidates. They're gonna have to get reports on those.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I don't think
almost no one knows who they are.
Yeah,
almost no
exactly.
One. Maybe Mamdani. Maybe Mamdani they know, but that's it.
Maybe Mamdani. And if you know who Hasan Piker is, you're voting for El-Sayed anyway.
That's right.
He's right.
That's what I've been saying.
That's
okay,
it.
my
See,
mistake. This Bulwark guy isn't like weirdly obsessed.
No, he's I was waiting for him to prove you wrong by opening his mouth. He's a reporter. He's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I have the historical knowledge to answer this. Has there been like an effective campaign run by just going after a candidate's associations? I mean, obviously Jeremiah Wright is comes to mind, but like Obama won, right?
Yeah.
So,
but the inverse of that, or the response to that is, well, Obama cut Jeremiah Wright out. But I think he cut him out after he won, right? I don't even think it was before. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be
no, it was in the
misremembering.
campaign.
It was in the campaign. Okay.
It was in the campaign. I mean, it's the
also Jeremiah Wright wasn't. I don't think Jeremiah Wright was campaigning with Obama.
But it's stupid. Sorry, it's the comparison doesn't work because it's the whole the way that the conditioning. I'm not calling them. It's just why I don't think this comparison works and why people are typically right to avoid it. And they're criticized in the middle of criticizing it, but it's also because the thing that people are actually describing is the Bill Clinton Sister Soldier thing. And then, the Obama version of that was, rejecting Jeremiah Wright or whatever, in the way that he did, which was to great rhetorical flourish, say that he wasn't rejecting him while rejecting him. But that doesn't work in this case because they campaigned with you. Yeah. And they included you at some point. So there's also the political calculus is different.
Yeah, no, it's
because
100%.
It's you're either inventing a mistake for yourself to admit to, or you're just acting as if, no, this isn't a thing. And you proceed normally and then it goes away because that's how these things go.
Yeah, no, that's what I've been trying to explain to the centrist Democrats, the centrist Democrat consulting class on Twitter who have been obsessed with trying to get a scalp because they lost the race. But at least they can get one off on me because they weirdly enough center me in this candidacy for some reason, due to their personal animus. And what they fail to realize for some weird reason is if Abdul were to do that, you're right, it would make him look bad. Because then, first of all, we know nobody gives a shit about apologies because I apologized for the 9/11 comments in 2019, and that's still prominently featured in every ad. That alone is evidence that no one gives a shit about apologies. As a matter of fact, sometimes they'll use the fact that you apologized as a weapon against you to be
if you keep apologizing for it years later, you just make it work. No, I mean there's no, again, this is why then they'll be well, that's why you shouldn't ally with people who say these things in the first place. When it's no, you're just going to continue beating a dead horse until you hope that your enemies fail. And then you can claim that their failure was because of the dead horse that you've been beating.
And by the way, this already has happened. So we have proof. They'll just simply, the only weapon that they have to wield here rhetorically is the fact that it hasn't worked in a swing state and a statewide race yet, which it will. It's not going to work here either, in Michigan either. But it didn't work in the mayoral race. Then they were oh, that's the New York mayor. It's super woke. New York City's super woke. And then we did it in other districts where it didn't work again. That affiliation, that guilt by association didn't work in any of these races.
There's
so
also
far.
No short to medium term. I think a lot of what's also important to emphasize, right, is that a lot of what's part of why I find Neera Tanden's marvelous, insightful, truly spectacular interventions on Twitter and electoral politics is that clearly what is happening in so much of electoral politics right now is not just because progressives are doing all these incredibly, strategically savvy things, or democratic socialists are doing these strategic things. It's because the environment has shifted such that those people now have advantages that they didn't have before. And those advantages that they've been given, for example, it's that, cost of living issues did not get better when Trump took over. They have gotten worse, and they're getting worse all the time.
Yeah.
You have the new the data center thing, and the fact that the Republicans have literally made themselves the party of data centers such that the Biden administration was all the AI people, they all more or less like got in bed with Trump prior to 2024. And now, they're reaping that whirlwind. Like they so identified with him and so identified with the hegemonic position that now that is like, now that's powering a lot of campaigns around the country. Like to me, again, it's like you're essentially like by trying to do this whole thing of like beat again, like trying to like wage the war on the faculty lounge, to use that awful metaphor that like David Axelrod introduced. I really didn't like it at the time. Like if you're like trying to do all that, it's like, okay, but like, just so you know, that is a little bit like you're not picking a particularly good fight, because like, if you look at the macro environment, like Democrats are poised to be broadly successful no matter what kind of Democrat they are in this cycle. And it is because of how the environment has been arranged.
Yeah. And it's really annoying that they keep like giving credence to the Republican attack ads. Like the Beltway pundits are consistently giving credence to the Republican attack ads and making it seem like the Democrats are in a state of disarray. And that in and of itself becomes the narrative. And every moment that is wasted on that is a moment where we're not talking about cost of living crisis, endless wars, and all the other and unlimited corruption from the Trump administration for his close allies and associates, including the Epstein class. So this person said, I talked with a bunch of legislative consultants in Washington State, and they mentioned you a bunch. They view you as a consultant like them, and they see you as with the bag. And I think that's a big part of the reason why these guys are unbelievably annoyed. Because unlike consultants that get paid to do this shit, I don't get paid to do this shit. I do this shit because I believe in certain candidates, and I spend money out of my own pocket to do it. And not only that, but also those consultants don't have a base. Those consultants don't have like an army of volunteers that will then get primed and activated. So they're very frustrated. And and simply put, just as for a lot of the people in the media, they're frustrated with the changes that are taking place and the lack of relevance and lack of attention that the mainstream outlets now hold as opposed to independent media. Consultants feel it as a similar thing where they're like, oh, you're coming into my environment. This is my space. I have to justify my level of, my level of knowledge in this field. And now you're f***ing it up for me.
Well, also just like, I mean, in general, like consultants are, I think, not like, I mean, the election, the progressive victory, I think it's just, you could state it even more simply, right? That the campaigns that have been so successful in the last few months and that have sort of, changed the narrative on its head a bit. Like some of them employ consultants, but I think it's extremely clear that what has made those campaigns win is not anything about the consultants. It's about the positions. It's about the organizing. It's about the energy for them. It's about the environment. Whereas I think in general, the conventional understanding, like entrenched in narrative, like the sort of intuitive understanding that many people in politics and around politics have of campaign politics is that consultants and staff matter, like they're everything. They're not nothing. That's to be clear. There's such a thing as talent and perspective and knowledge, but there is also such a thing as avarice and incompetence and graft and also ideological, capture and blindness. And, it's certainly, I think we can see how that's affecting the way these establishment versus social, democratic socialist races have been playing out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's continue with this analysis.
I was struggling to think of like a case where someone got really harmed in a way that
the amount of volunteers for Abdul and Donovan that I met last weekend that specifically mentioned you by name as their reason for being there was insane. I know you like to say you're not that big of a deal, and that's what a lot of centrist haters of yours have been saying, but your impact was made known last weekend. I hope you know HasanAbi has showed up and showed out. Yeah, of course. We're everywhere. We're legion, dude. We are we're impossible to ignore.
Cost them the election because of the people they associated with.
Yeah, I've thought about that as well, because for Obama it was Jeremiah Wright, but also Bill Ayers, one of the Weatherman bombers. Yeah. And that was a big push from Sarah Palin in the end of that campaign. That did not really work with voters. When there's an association, it usually is associations a consequence of a policy decision. The most successful one is obviously Willie Horton and Michael Dukakis. But that's different than just you palled around with the person or you were a surrogate on your campaign. I mean, this ad presumes a lot of knowledge of who Hasan Piker is, because then it says they don't really identify him. And then at the end, you have this hard to hear quote from Abdul saying, something complimentary about Hasan right after Hasan talks about the blood of capitalists in the street, which is not a helpful quote, I would say, generally. But
True.
but it does, where like the goal is to make him seem extreme in a very Islamophobic and racist way.
Also, it's funny because Abdul's like, I'm a capitalist. And I like him. So what's up? Is this like a sincerely held policy position, or am I LARPing with a person that I was talking to in 2018 in a 10-second clip?
I just
like, what's that about? Like in 2026, I'm literally, I'm literally sitting side by side with a person who's a self-avowed capitalist.
Yeah, me. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Way, and this is a mediocre execution of that strategy.
Yeah, I mean, what I was saying is, and maybe it's coming, but like the more effective.
All he said is that it wasn't helpful. I mean, it's true. He's also right. Of course,
yeah, it's not like ridiculous. I mean, it's
a ridiculous quote. Like, what do you mean?
Version of the strategy is to actually have El-Sayed saying the stuff, as opposed to just sort of insinuating that he has the opinions of the people who have endorsed him, and none of whom they will know. But yeah, and also it was just like a franticness to the ad where it just jumps around. You have a few F-bombs. It doesn't really say anything about El-Sayed other than he says, like you mentioned, that he welcomes Hasan Piker to the political discourse. So, as far as like, and I'm not saying scare tactic ads don't work, because they do, obviously. But I didn't think this one actually delivered much of a punch. It seemed kind of
like, what is it just scaring people with?
Bunch of random people.
Yeah.
If I were doing it, I guess I would have focused
out of context clips.
And then been like, this guy, El-Sayed, apologizes for Hasan Piker, and then just go into the sizzle reel.
Yeah, I mean, and even then, I'm not sure it would be effective. There's another version of this ad that is, I can't remember if it's from which Republican super PAC it's from, but it has, it basically shows these people and then has that, there's a quote of Abdul saying, I'm dangerous, which is about dangerous to the system and the billionaires and all of that, but using that over and over again. That's a more effective version of this. Yes. This strategy they're going to use, of which I think this ad is a poor execution of it, is an interesting test of whether this sort of post 9/11 scare politics still works in America.
Yeah, how does it work? So they're going to run this ad and they're going to see audience reaction to it. And they're going to ask them, does this make you more or less likely to vote for El-Sayed? And then...
And what, rather?
Is that it? And then they'll figure out if that actually is sticky?
Well, they probably
tested it beforehand. Yeah.
They probably tested it beforehand. And ad testing, there's a lot of debate in Democratic circles about the effectiveness of ad testing because you're watching ads in isolation.
Right.
And so if you're seeing, because you see the ad and you react to it, but you're not.
Pause this.
That's not.
This is the other thing, though. If it's also about like you're making ads that flatter the people buying them sometimes, and like I don't know if that's the case here, but I'm sure like this is a phenomenon that people bitched about a lot with like a lot. Like I would say like earlier, like Bernie Warren era, like kind of DSA candidates was that like there were a lot of campaign ads that got cut that people like not cut like deleted. I mean cut like that were made and published that. Rallied a lot of people on the internet and felt like they were probably pretty good at raising a certain amount of small dollar donations from across the country. But also there was the problem of the fact that like they didn't register with the people who were actually voting in a given district or anything. And you never really saw these kinds of candidates like take those steps. Like I'm reminded of like Canilla Eng ads, from like years and years ago.
Okay, here's a suggestion. I want to hear your opinion on this. Since the Republican Party has decided that they are going to put my clips out there and like mass blast them as like their only midterm election strategy, what if I made a political campaign ad for myself talking about how I'm not running for office and how the only reason why they're doing these clips out of context are because...
See, this is the problem, man. That is a good idea, and you take all the air out of it by telling everybody, hey, or asking everybody on stream, like, hey, yo, is this a good idea?
I think they don't watch. They don't listen. They do watch. They take notes. But I was thinking about doing it and then just like fundraising for it, like a GoFundMe or something, like an initiative specifically, and just hit like the peak media.
Yes. No, that would
be peak media
Yeah, it would be
time
very
slots.
funny. It would be very funny.
Like a real Mad Men.
No. That's not how you do it. The way you do it is that
Mad Men had an episode where they were talking about Nixon, where they like canceled out the JFK ad spend because there's only a finite amount of hours that you can buy TV slots on.
Yeah, but like that kind of ad money is like you're gonna put Kaya in the poor doghouse. No, you have to. What you have to do is you got to do what like every company ever does when it's like the Super Bowl, which. Keep that in mind, which is that it's like what you do, right? Like okay, every company will say like, oh, we cut a Super Bowl ad. And then what they do is like they will buy ad space for the Super Bowl in like one part of South Dakota. And so they've bought an ad that aired on TV on the Super Bowl and they can honestly say that, but then they just publish it on YouTube and they go to like, Ad Week or whatever. And are like, hey, look at our Super Bowl ad. And so that's what, so when you do this,
well, I could also do
when you do this.
I do one.
When you do this next year, so people can go back to this clip and they'll see.
I'll do one small market.
Was.
I'll do one small market, and then the rest is just all streamers, which is cheaper and like the space that I occupy anyway, like YouTube and all these other platforms, and we just do like a YouTube push.
Can you buy ads on Kick and Rumble?
Dude, I don't even know if they have.
That's what I'm asking. I don't know if they have. If they just gave up on that.
Yeah,
I'm scared. I don't want to. I actually kind of don't know if I want to know the answer to that question.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Just, ads for 501c4 that exclusively centers its attention on lowering the age of consent.
You literally have to be elite. Like the thing that you are advertising has to be illegal for you to try and advertise for it on there.
Yeah. Oh wow, they deleted the initial. They deleted their initial post with Chris Hayes and Alex Wagner. I don't know why, and then they re-uploaded it. Since you deleted and reposted this after, I assume, having big feelings about commenters calling you out, adding my comment again. Piker's not being paranoid here. Yeah, everyone, dude. That's the funniest thing about the Podjahs is like their audience is literally like every time I'm on their show, even if they're like criticizing me or whatever, the audience is like, no, we love what he's saying. You're fucking wrong.
Well, this is why, like, I think people in general, like, part of why, like, this weird moment that we're in politically, that I do, like, I'm not saying that, like, a bunch of people with, like, like that a bunch of essentially, like, small millions, like 7-figure millionaires getting in their feelings about, like, in the Trump era, all of a sudden means that we're going to have a communist revolution. But it is like extremely clear that there is something like a political conscious shift going on vis-a-vis the Democratic Party and what people are willing to do to challenge power within it. That is pretty novel. And if you look, not, the Podjohn's comment section is an example of this, but for years, I've always told people, look at the New York Times comment section. There is no group of people more antagonistic to the editorial output of the New York Times than their own commenters. The same thing, by the way, is also true for the Atlantic. Like a lot of these publications that like aggressively orient themselves toward an imagined center.
Yeah.
Their audiences are just liberals who are mad that they're not liberal enough.
Yes.
And so then they support leftists.
They're constantly rage baiting their audience. Like that's all they do. It was the same with the Ross Douthat interview that we did. I was looking at the comments. They had to like shut off the comment section after like 1,000 comments of everyone being like, Ross Douthat, you're a right winger. What the are you talking about?
This is because they know that if they aired the Seth Harp, this is why they know that if they aired the Ross Douthat Seth Harp tape, they know that the comment section on that would move so quickly because of all of the war justification going on that it would ultimately it would lead to the heat death of the universe.
Yeah, dude. Shannon Watts, why did PodSafe delete the clip critical of Piker? And then she recorded it on her phone. Dude, what is wrong with her? Yo, Shannon.
Well, I mean, we don't know that she recorded it, but I love the idea that she's sourcing its because they reposted it though. Why did they? I mean, do we know why they deleted it?
Elijah Cohn says, hey, Shannon Watts, we just wanted to make the clip longer and add more context. We do this sometimes. Not uncommon for us. Could have waited to take it down until we had the longer version cut, but it's back up now. Thanks, as always, for the interest in Pod Save America. This guy, another one of these like centrist consultant guys, Kayvon Schroff. Kayvon?
No, it's
Kayvon?
No, it's a real name.
Okay.
That wasn't what it looked like from a distance.
When's the last time you did it, and what context was so important to add? Last one was a joke about Spirit Air that we felt like wasn't landing on social. For this one, we wanted more of Chris's answer on the assertion that establishment Dems support Rogers over AES.
This is the thing, man. It's like these blue anon people. This is actually, people don't know this, but this is actually like a mutation of an earlier strain of a virus called Puma. from 08?
Dude, they're insane. For the sake of transparency,
nuts,
will
dude.
you
They're
say
crazy.
if there was any request by Hasan Piker to take down the clip? Dog, why would I give a shit? Every outlet is up my asshole right now. You think I'd care about a Podjon clip that's like half-heartedly defending me?
He's lying. Last night, dude, you should have fucking seen him
last
working
night
the phones.
Yeah, they're going to clip this and be like, it's proof,
No,
by
he
the
was
way.
last night, dude. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Shannon Watts.
I was making the boss
Shannon
call.
Watts.
I was making the
I'm
boss
telling
call.
you, I'm not lying. I am not making a joke. I'm telling you straight up. Last night, Hasan was he was on the phone for like 2 hours. He was like Tommy Vitor, I'm gonna come for your kids if you don't take this clip down.
No, literally.
Like you're so cooked.
Yeah. No law. Hasan Piker did not reach out to us and edit a social clip. This was all producers and social people picture a bunch of mid-level people bouncing an idea in Slack, thinking nothing about it, then waking up to it being a thing online. How much is Piker paying you? Is he threatening you? Are you in duress? Blink 5 times if so. This person is a fan of mine. They're making a joke, I think. It is strange you just have a new post ready to go if there was something being talked about in Slack. What the f? These people are insane. Shannon Watts wrote a manifesto takedown. Why do I feel so strongly about Hasan Piker's rise in the Dem Party? I started Moms Demand Action in the day after the Sandy Hook school shooting in 2012. You know what?
I'll be honest, those two sentences do not connect. Just a writing tip. Even if you have a topic sentence that's a bit different than what immediately follows, you are supposed to typically make them connect to one another.
Yeah.
But that's just
You know what's crazy about this? I spoke at one of her rallies in like 2016.
And what did she say about that?
She doesn't know. She doesn't remember
Wait,
that
really?
I spoke at one of her rallies. Yeah. Move more. No, hold on. Move more to the.
Oh yeah.
towards your-
No, I slipped
This
from
is
the
a professional studio, sir.
No,
Move more to your mark.
Sorry,
please.
I got to hit my. You've done all this great work blocking, and here I am blowing it.
Yeah.
So wait, sorry, you played a Shannon Watts rally?
Yeah, I did. I spoke at a Shannon Watts rally. I think it was Shannon Watts. Moms Demand Action was part of it. Yeah, it was like David Hogg was speaking at it and stuff. Back in like 20, like when it first happened, I forget when. To fight Piker, Centrals will use necromancy to revive Gobenau, Lothrop, Stoddard, and Madison Grant. Yeah.
They're old They're old racists.
Yeah. No, centrists are unearthing the ancient science of race realism and race determinism, race realism, race science.
Jamie, can you pull up the Kalshi odds on the first university to offer a physiognomy course in the next year? Thanks.
Phrenology is back, baby. I literally did her rally back in the day, but that was before she became this insane Zionist for some reason. Someone's got to be paying her, I think, or she's just lost her dang mind.
Look, no, we know it. I don't want to say that because if I don't know it, but I think it seems extremely clear these days that there are a lot of people for whom Israel is an incredibly fierce attachment, and they are willing to let their inability to see justice on that issue pollute their ability to see it in anything.
Yeah,
it's quite sad. Many such cases.
She's like comparing me to Alex Jones here, which I gotta go pee, so I can't even go through this. So I'm just gonna let this run
Real
instead.
World simulation of what people are actually seeing, because you're not, if you're actually seeing this on the news, you're also going to see a pro Abdul ad afterwards, or you're consuming content in social media or conversations that can be counter to the ad. So, and also open question of whether this is a media play and they're actually putting money behind it, which the use of Hasan suggests it might be.
You think so? It's too long. It felt like too long for me for that, right? Like if you're going to do this online, you'd want a little bit of like a 15-second clip or something.
Well, yes, if you're actually putting money behind it, but if you want to do an ad so that people like us will talk about it and they'll put it on cable news or local news, then it has to look as much. I mean, it's all a fake game that's been going on for decades, but you just say it's an ad, you give it to the press runs $6 behind it.
6 figures behind this one.
Yeah, 5. Yes, depending on how many decimal points you go out. If you like this video and you like God Save America, I promise you'll love Messagebox, which is my Substack newsletter where I break down what's happening in politics, give you real analysis based on years of experience and data about what's happening in the midterms, and actually help you initiate that conversation. Let's look at an ad that he ran in the primary.
Where did Abdul El-Sayed come from?
Here.
We're his grandparents.
We helped raise him.
He became a doctor.
He always wanted to help people.
He got all those kids glasses.
Good crowd pop on that one.
He buys us groceries every week. He knows what things cost.
Now he's running around with Bernie Sanders trying to change politics.
We love him, and so will you.
Too much. I'm Abdul El-Sayed, and I approve the heck out of this message.
Language.
I died when I saw that. I mean, look, the grandma steals the show. She's so good in this. She has a future in
That was
acting.
a nice ad.
I thought it was honestly, and I know people.
Did you see that ad?
Bulwark in the podcast. This was like a legitimately good ad.
This ad with his
grandma,
Abdul's parents and his grandma.
Like, this person's funny. I will remember that
nice
ad. Like I will remember that ad. And obviously the point here is to humanize him and to like make fun of and poke fun of the idea that this is some scary
on night. This race has become quite contentious. It's got a lot of attention. Talk about old tweets and positions and whether a DSA candidate can actually win. Francesa Hong is leading this race, presuming the polls are correct. Let's take a look at one of her ads.
It's so stressful to get by these days, and I know a lot about stress. I work in restaurants. I started in this kitchen 15 years ago, and you might recognize what's across the street. A lot of people in that building don't get why it's so hard to get by right now. I'm State Representative Francesa Hong. I'm a service worker, community organizer.
When we look at each other, are we looking at each other on screen?
My community sent me to the Capitol.
I don't know.
I think so.
I think so. Kind of, yeah.
I'm running for governor to fix it. For years, we've been told that doing better isn't possible. Well, let me tell you, that's bullshit. All we need to do is fight together. We can fully fund our public schools. And
I don't think there is
universal
into this ad.
We can guarantee paid leave and have cheaper health care. We can fix a rigged system that puts oligarchs over workers and small businesses. We can do better. I'm Francesa Hong, and I'm running for governor because I know that together we make better possible.
So as I mentioned, Hong is leading in the polls. She got a pretty sizable lead. There's a poll out today that has her up 22 points. So even if the polls were as incorrect as they were in Michigan, she'd still win by double digits. She has been on a media tour recently. She was on Pod Save America earlier this week. I
saw millennial music.
CNN, other places.
Really, that was
responding
like,
to
I was
a
like,
bunch
that
of
is some
tweets she
stomp
had
clap shit, bro.
In 2020 about canceling Thanksgiving, about defunding the police, about white supremacy, a whole bunch of things. And I think if you watched those interviews she did, you might wonder sort of why she was leading the race by so much. But I think if you see this ad, it kind of makes sense. What do you think?
Oh, you like the ad?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the ad shows why her message resonates and why people would go to her. Because she's not great in contentious one-on-one interviews, but there is real charisma and a message of hope here that I think helps explain why she's getting in this poll out today. 44% of Wisconsin Democrats.
Okay. So we'll have a disagreement on this one.
Yeah,
but you're obviously right because she's doing great for the primary, right? So like clearly proof is in the pudding, which she may or may not make at her restaurant. I thought the ad was very frantic. It made me unsettled. It jumped around a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it was a good ad, but it's not because like I disagree with the content. It was just like very
biographical.
There are a bunch of different sequencing, and like you don't really know what it's
vanilla.
Well, you don't know what it's about until like you're kind of in it. Like 'cause she's in the kitchen, and then it takes like a little minute before it like flips to the legislature thing, and also like I like the Rosie the Riveter bandana worker thing. It's nice. But it just like the ad's a little bit cluttered. Like, what's it about? Like Abdul's ad, for example, what's it about? His family. Like, what was Francesa's ad was about? She's a worker. It's about MAGA controlling Wisconsin. It's about her campaign platform. It's about, she's in a library. It's about
we're part of the Hong dynasty. So they're saying we're sending you to Siberia.
This is constructive criticism. I'm not saying anything about the content. I'm just saying it wasn't. You want honest criticism when you get Noah Kulwin, okay?
Okay. Well, you're going to Siberia nonetheless.
Okay. Take me away.
It's dumb for that to be out there.
Voters debate candidates cancel Thanksgiving comments.
You love Thanksgiving.
Yeah, everybody goes home for Thanksgiving. When are you going to fight with your family if you don't have Thanksgiving?
It turns out that hot takes about canceling Thanksgiving don't go away easily. We're in the final hours of the...
We're making sure that it doesn't go away. As we're in the process of making sure that this is the only salient narrative right before the fucking election. If you think Hasan Piker, a guy friendly with many Jews, including myself, and who clearly has issues over people associating Judaism entirely with Zionism, is the high point of anti-Semitism, you have no idea what's coming. Yeah. Oh, this is my goat.
Oh, well, yeah, that's Lewis. Adam Lewis Claude. Yeah.
Yeah. What Piker says here all sounds completely logical, even articulate and compassionate. Oh, well, thank you for recognizing that. Unless anti-Zionism is also thematized as bigotry. Anti-Zionists will always claim to reject anti-Semitism until their anti-Zionism itself is called out directly. Yeah, you're right, man. Yeah. Notice also the amount that Piker has been repeatedly and aggressively taken to task for his anti-Semitism has not remotely changed his proclivity to blame Israel, spread anti-Zionist libels. Anti-Zionist libels. I like
or repeat hackneyed anti-Zionist talking points like Zionism isn't Judaism. It's had zero effect.
It's actually anti-Semitic to say
Sorry,
Israel.
Also, what the fuck is he saying? What does that mean? It hasn't.
No.
Zero effect because
his number one thing. This guy's so funny. He's such an insane person. His number one thing is to say it's actually anti-Semitism isn't anti-Semitism. Anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism.
He's the most like. I don't read anything he writes because for so long it was so obvious that he was just feeding his shit into an LLM. And it was like, you lose, like, even as a hater, I won't engage with your shit if you're just putting it into, like, you know, like whether you're Kyle Kuzma or Adam Lewis Klein, I'm not going to read it. Sorry. You lost privilege. You lost Noah attention span privileges.
Yeah. I like that. That's his primary concern, though, and I respect it. That's his primary concern. Notice also the amount that Piker is repeatedly. Oh yeah, we saw that. Sammy says the shit I see on Instagram Reels is infinitely more hateful, blatant in his use of anti-Semitic stereotypes. It gets hundreds of thousands of likes, and those aren't even strictly political. Those are just normal people. Israel's making life miserable for Jews. Is true.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of the idea that like if we like snapped our fingers, right, and like Israel as such like didn't exist tomorrow, and like there was a state of all of its people. From the river to the sea, like a single democratic state or whatever. I like the amount of worldwide anti-Semitism would go down so dramatically you wouldn't believe.
Yeah,
and it's not
even right now. Like
right, like
even right now, if like the most prominent Jewish institutions weren't doing exactly what they've done for the last like 80 years and been like, we are the most vociferous defenders of Israel because Israel is everything to Jews and it's all Judaism. That association is one that favors Nick Fuentes, is identical. Jake Tapper and Nick Fuentes believe the exact same thing. Nick Fuentes hates Jews. Jake Tapper loves Jewish people and thinks he's doing a sufficient line of defense for Israel and Judaism when he does that. But that association between Zionism and Judaism remains identical in their commentary.
I mean, and now they're like, what I think is getting harder and harder like to prevent, and I mean this not in as a judgment of the value of people who make this association, even though I think it's wrong, but like the conflation of Jews with Israel, like I feel like powerless in many respects to stop it. That like when I tell people like listen, and I say fully and honestly that like Israel is not the end all and be all of Judaism or Jewish people. It's increasingly hard to make that case, not because I don't think it's true, but because the amount of like very obvious evidence for most people who don't think too hard about these kinds of things, is weighted to suggest that no, like, well, Israel is like the Jew place, and it is like associated with Jews in this way. And part of the way I know that is because all of the people who are Jewish that love Israel and Israel itself, they both claim that, and they get the privileged voice in media.
Yeah, there is never any prominent anti-Zionist Jews that are given space in the media ever. I talked about it earlier, like no Gideon Levy, even like Ilan Pape, Avi Shlaim, Ross Segal, like anti-Zionist Jews are blacklisted openly, like Ross Segal was, who I think he won his court case as well.
He got a settlement from the University of Minnesota because they rescinded an offer for him to get a genocide studies chair.
Yeah,
and they
had to pay him $250,000.
The Minnesota got to sign one of those agreements. They got to say something that like they're not admitting fault, but they had to pay $250,000.
Yeah, and it's like Brad Lander, who calls himself a Zionist, is the closest you can get to like a critique of Israel that revolves around calling out its occupation, its apartheid.
I mean, I think we periodically get people like Ta-Nehisi Coates was, when he was touring his last book. No, but that's true. Sorry, we're talking specifically of Jews. It's also like there's been now this issue though of how and this is like, I will say, like, I can't totally put this on the media. Like, this is in part like a failure among, like, you know, like I'm saying it's a failure of my people in this one, that like there is just the open embrace of the conflation. And that like this, after like talking for many, many years out of both sides of our mouths about like, it's actually anti-Semitic to conflate Israel with Jews. Now that Israel is being existentially challenged in discourse, as was always bound to happen in a moment like this.
Like, do you not think that it would be productive to at least show Americans that there is discourse within the Jewish community on this issue? If your goal is to simply say that this is a topic of debate.
Because they don't want to let a kind of discourse thing happen, because the truth is that for a lot of people who are very smart, very sensible, very responsible stewards and purveyors of discourse, the idea that you would take seriously that like Israel would end is like a sign of like, that's, you know, more defund, abolish the police, like, you know, delusion, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like you and I, right? Like when we say stuff like that, we think we're describing like a practical reality, a thing that is going to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
Like not soon, not in some particular time scale, but that is going to happen because the contradictions that sustain it, you know, won't allow it to persist. And that's not a critique that we have of every institution that exists, but it's certainly true of the Israeli government. It's just not, it's not going to be able to sustain itself for a variety of different reasons over a long period of time. And I would be happy to go into all of those. But I think that there is now like what we've now like what those like these smart protectors of discourse or whatever, what they have done by marginalizing this is that they've made it really, really difficult, so that now that this discourse does exist and now that more and more people are raising it, is that as we move further into that reality, they're just not going to be equipped to actually like process the reality in front of them. You know, just as in the same way that like when October 7th happened, they were not able to process the reality of what was going on there because like they were, you know, like they were all stocked up on horrible, like, you know, stale preconceptions of what Palestinians are, what their lives are like, and what their struggles like.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think there's a deliberate effort to refuse to reckon with that reality, but there's also a deliberate attempt to try to consistently keep up the image that like every Jewish person, no matter what, believes in the state of Israel existing in the ways that it currently does. And there is no room for discourse that definitely exists, especially amongst younger Jews, that will ever be featured in mainstream media, because Americans are broadly like Americans, we understand simple messages, right? When you see a Jewish guy criticize Israel, that means a lot to, I think, Americans who have never been around Jewish people, that only know Jews as like, you know, being in media and doing Seinfeld.
I mean, I think to me, the biggest piece of that angle of it is just on the simple level. Like, I don't think that there is, and I don't really like, I don't think that there is anything like it just should be practically acknowledged on like the surface level that like we live in a world and in like a media environment in which Palestinian voices are so, and like the Palestinian perspective is so marginalized, so diminished, etc., that the most valuable corrective, not valuable in its moral value, not valuable in that it's like the bravest, but just valuable in the sense that it is the most like, you know, like fingers in the eye of the, you know, hegemonic way of talking about this stuff, is to present an anti-Zionist Jew, because it's just like it immediately upsets a bunch of premises, right? And so it doesn't mean that every voice, far from it, or even a majority or even a plurality of voices on this issue should be anti-Zionist Jews. I would never even want to suggest that. But it does mean that when we do not represent those perspectives and we don't represent those views, all it's going to do is exactly what you're saying. It's just going to like create this,
the idea,
the monolith.
Create the understanding that, yes, Jews are monolithic in their approach to Israel. And it would have worked, and it did work for, you know, the last like 78 years, but it's just not working anymore. And these guys are still holding out. I would hope that like it'll go away. Like the notion that you can just say simply that something is anti-Semitic and then that stops the conversation in its entirety. That's gone. It doesn't work anymore.
I mean,
it is also creating an environment for actual anti-Semites to become thought leaders.
Well, it's worth splitting the hairs here.
Anti-Israel movement.
It's worth splitting the hairs here, right? Because it does not work in the sense that like it's not persuading anyone anymore, right? But at the same time, at the exact moment when it has lost all persuasive ability, you know, you've got like just this week, right? Like Haverford College in Pennsylvania, a Quaker college, you know, celebrated for pluralism, you know, social justice politics, things like that. You know, they just did a deal with the Trump administration where they're agreeing to accept that anti-Zionism is a protected belief, like, you know, as a protected class. Or sorry, that Zionism is a protected class, just like being Jewish.
Like on Twitch. Just like on Twitch.
And so there is now this, I mean, like there's a codification of this reality at the exact time that nobody believes it or is persuaded by it anymore as people.
Yeah.
And so to me, there is this really sad and kind of frustrating thing that we're going to have to live with, and we're going to have to continue talking about this, because even though nobody's persuaded by this, and even though, you know, it's not like a useful, constructive part of discourse anymore, we're going to have to be undoing damaging legislation, punitive policies.
Yeah.
We're going to have to be fighting against powers that be for years and years, generations, really, to like undo the damage of this. In a lot of ways, it is more damaging, I would argue, in terms of the long-term correction that we're going to have to try to do than, you know, a lot of what went on in the McCarthy era.
Yeah.
Wisconsin governor's race, and that is still hanging over it as Francesa Hong, the Democratic Socialist candidate, is still answering questions about that social media post from several years ago about wanting to cancel Thanksgiving. This is what she said about it now.
I had some bad takes and some hot takes on Twitter, but like all everyday Wisconsinites, I had to express my frustrations that the system wasn't working for us.
And there are several examples of things that she has had to walk back, take back, backpedal on, including defunding the police, abolishing the U.S. Senate, and yes, even saying that Halloween should also be canceled. Now, these aren't the major issues driving this governor's race, but voters are talking about them, and many don't like what they heard.
It's ridiculous. I don't know what she was thinking about that.
Now, other supporters of Hong say that she was misunderstood, and it's fine for candidates to change their minds.
Is there any politician on the planet that hasn't made a stance on something and then realized that maybe that was a bit extreme and I have to back up and understand how the voter population is feeling?
It would be a sad person if you just had your ideas at 18 and you kept them all till the day you died. I mean, certainly as you get older and experience more things, see things.
Wisconsinites are my favorite people, by the way. Like everyone I met, I mean, some of these people are, you know, attacking Hong or whatever because they're trying to create a narrative here that like her tweets are really top of mind for these voters. But Wisconsin has some of the best, some of the coolest white people. Let's just say.
I mean, Wisconsin has like a really great, you know, like obviously great radical history, but it is like a very, to me, it's definitely like, it's a state that like when you're in the right crowds or with the right people, like when I've been in Milwaukee or Madison, it feels like one of the most like pro-social places.
Yes.
Yes, like people 100%. Are like, I mean, that's one of the, like a lot of the Midwest does not feel like that, feels the opposite, but I often feel like the coolest moments that I have in the Midwest.
The only other place I felt like that is Minneapolis.
Minneapolis definitely like that,
and like Minnesota's like that. Wisconsin's like that. I think Michigan to a certain degree is like that for sure. Like Illinois, Chicago gets into like real city territory, and I feel like city folk is a little different.
It's a real city, but like I don't know. I love Chicago. You'll never well no, but I mean like I feel like it's also like it's a city that has like a. That does have a bit of that. Like it's got some of that. I don't know. Like so, but it leads, happy to see you. Je ne sais quoi.
It leads me to ask a question: what the happened to like Indiana? What the happened to Iowa and Indiana? If like all these other places are so, you know, a certain way.
It's a good question. I mean, I have no like. I'm sure there's a bunch of actual good answers to that question. I don't have them.
Yeah.
You take different positions and you regret some of the stuff you did.
Now, Hong's leading opponent is David Crowley. He's the Milwaukee County executive. He told us this about Thanksgiving.
I love Thanksgiving.
Bro, oh, come on.
Sorry, today in questions, we are
my
asking a
God.
second grader.
Dude, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, candidate,
I'm
your thoughts
skipping.
about
I'm
Thanksgiving.
I can't do this. I can't do this. Socialist
Oh
push
my
faces
God,
major twist.
bro.
Like,
that was so good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then we sit around and wonder why people don't tune into mainstream outlets anymore. And it's like, this is why, dude. You guys don't give a shit about anything. Like, people are ready to start doing illegal things and are doing illegal things to flock cameras. They want to start doing illegal things to data centers. And you guys are out here being like, I wonder why the pro data center candidate is not actually gaining momentum, as opposed to the anti-data center candidate who's made it a central fixture of her campaign is doing LeBron numbers.
And you know what I will say? I do think what I find very interesting, right, is that like I think the media is actually kind of lagging behind a lot of some of the other parts of the establishment political base here. Like, I think a lot of I see a lot of the people in the think tanks that are attached to the AI industry and attached to a lot of the, sort of foundations that are interested in studying from a pretty industry sympathetic perspective, like how to do build outs that can accommodate the data center stuff. And like, those people are freaking out about this data center backlash, and they're not underestimating what Francesa Hong represents or anything.
Yeah. That's why they're
taking it quite seriously. And I think it is like, it just shows how bad our media is, that they're not even picking up on the gravity that people are associating these campaigns with. They're instead just arguing about Thanksgiving, because again, it is their only way of processing and understanding like what an election is, which is just a relative question of competitiveness. It's not like an evaluation of what like motivates how people engage with an election, what people participating in the election consider the stakes of it to be. It's like literally they're asking some guy, so is the guy who doesn't have a statistical shot at winning this election more electable or not? What do you say, Mr. Voter?
But they did it. They did this with Haley Stevens, and it fucking worked to a certain degree to get her up there. So, I do worry. I do worry a lot.
No, it did to a point. It did to a point, but like it wasn't the only thing. And I also think that like that was a case also where like I think the polls really clearly shaped a lot of the narrative making that was going on there, which is why the Noah Kulwin rule is no polls.
Hong's policy positions, the ones that she thinks aren't a good or a bad take, we don't know. The Wall Street Journal's lead editorial today, though, Francesa Hong, the socialist next hope. It argues even a fraction of her agenda would be ruinous. That's what the GOP's presumptive gubernatorial nominee, Representative Tom Tiffany, is saying. And that's what he'll tell voters if their other option is in November, and it's Ms. Hong. And he would be correct about that. What an opening for Republicans after 2 terms of Governor Tony Evers. Power panel now. Cassie Smedley, Republican strategist. Megan Hayes, former director of message planning for the Biden administration. Great to see.
It's so 2 anti-Hong politicians.
I mean, but this is fine, bro. I mean, I'm sorry.
This is.
I'm not. The other people, I'll like get a little more head up over, but like this is a little like, yeah, water be wet, dude. It's Fox News. They're not going to have on.
Yeah, Fox News quoting another Murdoch-owned outlet, Wall Street Journal, to complain about radical socialist Francesa Hong. They always sneak your name in all these segments, of course, because that's because look, whether Francesa Hong wins or not, like, of course they would love to make her lose in the primary so they don't have to deal with it in the general. But I'm not going away. So that's the reason why they have to keep peppering these attacks in every conversation they can, because this movement is not going away. And this movement, they understand something that many others, unfortunately, in the edges, in the liberal side,
also,
that are
like, they're just mad that she's good at speaking to the people that want to support her. Sorry, that's like a lot of the like what I get irritated with about the Hong stuff is that it's like, I mean, one, I do think I agree with my friend Jay Kang. I do think a lot of it is frankly racist, and just like that's like all the faculty lounge stuff is like I with her specifically, I find to have an edge that I don't love, because it's like like why are they racing to assume that this candidate is a books person but not a service industry person? I think we know the answer there.
Yeah.
But it is also like they're just completely discounting from the jump like what it is that people do see in her that is not tied to the environmental component, the structural components of this, right? And it is like like why do they view her as like a credible avatar for a bunch of these ideas? And that matters, and they're just not considering it at all.
I just don't understand why these guys also do the same thing that they do to China, where it's like, even if you hate China, it's probably important for you to understand like what the fuck's going on there. You know what I mean? Otherwise, going to catch you by surprise, as it kind of has. Like China's rise as a global behemoth has like caught many Western analysts by surprise. Many of those who like wrote extensive foreign policy mag articles about how like they were building ghost cities and shit like that are now going, how do we get here? Why do they have so many tier 1 cities that are like, you know, massive?
Well, yeah, they believed that we just believed that they would always be better at quantity but never at quality. And
but I don't get
shocker,
it. Shocker,
that wasn't going to last.
At this point, even if your goal is to you know, defeat China somehow in this war that we're waging against them, then like you should probably try to do a better job of like understanding what their ideology is, what motivates them, how they operate, rather than just like consistently hit the same notes over and over again. Not dissimilar to the argument that I was presenting with the anti-Zionist movement growing, and like how Zionists are still deploying the same techniques of like not trying to understand where people are coming from and assuming that the animus driving this counter narrative against Israel is of course by it's an incredibly
it's because they're like, you know, what these people share in common, right? Like anti-Zionist or China hawk, or sorry, not anti-Zionist. If we can make that mistake lately, Zionists and China hawks is that they're both like hardcore idealists. Like they believe in like they have like these idealized notions and they act according to those notions. And they don't really give a fuck about empirical reality. They don't really have like much of a connection to it, frankly. And, you know, like that satisfies their needs. You know, it allows for, you know, you can stockpile missiles all you want. You can spend money on, you know, new submarines that are meant to counter hypothetical Chinese actions 50 years out or whatever. Like you can do all that stuff. You can invest in those things and not invest in other things. And so you give yourself, I mean, it's idealism like of that kind is a kind of alibi. It becomes the way that you understand doing that you do certain things so that you can get away with, I mean, is the way you and I think see it, is that they can get away with self-enrichment and self-dealing, and they can acquire more power, all the while telling themselves that, you know, they're doing something else.
Yeah.
You know, Cassie, I'm going to start with you because you've got Tiffany about ready to take the stage. You've got former governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, going to talk with him. Tee up this race for us.
Yeah, good morning to you both. I just got off the plane from northern Wisconsin. I spent the weekend with my in-laws up in Chippewa Falls, which is the northwest side of the state bordering with Minnesota. And this is all you heard about this weekend. Francesa Hong was essentially on an apology tour, trying to spend the final days of this primary to reset the record for herself from these problematic positions she's taken about canceling Thanksgiving, abolishing the Senate, abolishing the police, etc. And then you had Tom Tiffany, who was essentially on offense, running his campaign, talking about I-94 expansion, talking about higher ed, talking about...
Interesting. Why is the Republican candidate so invested in the Democratic primary? And why is the Republican candidate attacking the quote-unquote weaker candidate for the general? That's interesting. This is the Republican strategist who is attacking Francesa Hong and saying that the supposedly weaker general candidate, Francesa Hong, is interestingly enough, all of the enmity is directed at the supposedly weaker general election candidate. If Republican strategists thought that Francesa Hong was easier to beat, they would probably be hyping her up, right?
Well, but this gets to the fact that there are obviously certain advantages that like a more centrist inclined candidate will have in a general election. It's just a fact. There are certain advantages that they get, right? But like there's certain disadvantages that come through people getting through a primary process without having, you know, motivated voters, without having like a particularly credible or, you know, like defensible, legible platform. There's a bunch of reasons that have more to do with, again, than just like a kind of like rank left to right ideology thing that have to do with this. And again, the biggest part of this is like, okay, who is going to be better positioned to win on the issues that seem to matter most to people who are at the ballot box in a few months? And it's like Francesa Hong, it turns out, despite of all of the quote unquote concerns about her or whatever, like she's making it through this primary process because she is able to, at least for now, present more competitively on that level. And yeah, obviously, like if the Republicans really believed all this shit, then why would they be like, why, if they really believe that she was so beat, why would they say this? I think the other thing I will say is like, you know, when it comes to this stuff of like, the Republicans would freaking love to run against this, you know, Democratic socialist. Like, okay, I remember the Jonathan Chait and Ira Tandon. We would love to run against Donald Trump in 2016. If only we could run against Donald Trump in 2016 stuff. Okay. Just from all perspective, from all sides, like, just don't say that stuff. Like I'm saying, even to my allies, like, don't say that stuff. You will get your ass, like, you will get exposed for it at some point. The point will not work out for you. It's in some way. Like, electability is just so often, right? Like, just make the argument on the merits of your candidate and why you think they're a good fit. Like this stuff of like trying to pick the perfect opponent is not always going to work for you. It won't. Like, you know, I still think in some ways, like, we've never gotten the full explanation right of AIPAC and the NJ11 and trying to go against Malinowski. Like, that's still not clear. Like, it just doesn't seem that, like, when you play these games that you necessarily end up getting what you want.
Yeah.
The economy and making sure that Wisconsinites have the opportunity to live the lives they want to live for them and their families. A real contrast, and certainly for Francesa Hong, not how you want to be spending these final days. And oh, by the way, as Alex laid out, the sitting governor is campaigning with the guy who got out of the race. He dropped out already, and he's no, we need you back in because I don't believe this lady is electable in November. It's a real quagmire for Democrats.
Well, I know we keep talking about Thanksgiving, but the real headline from last week was her quote-unquote proximity to whiteness. She made it all about race, using her own biracial children. All right, Francesa Hong has not gotten endorsements from some of the socialist big guns like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who seems to be trying to distance herself a bit.
I haven't endorsed in that race. My focus has been in winning back the Congress. My understanding is that Francesa Hong has made clear her present stances to her electorate.
Yeah, she's moved away from a lot of that.
Right, she's moved away from it. And I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
Woke one was crazy. So we're in chapter 2 now. It sounds crazy too. AOC has, however, endorsed socialist Senate candidate in Michigan, Abdul El-Sayed, whose policies exactly align with those of Francesa Hong. Here's Hong with Hasan Piker. Take a watch.
Abolishing ICE.
Yes.
A 1-year data center moratorium.
Yes.
Breaking up Big Ag.
Yes.
Public grocery stores.
Yes.
Right to I love when they show this because this is banger. This is like
this is like you're now asking her to like give yes to all the stuff that polls get.
Yeah.
Showing it like
no, literally. I don't know why they don't realize that. It's so strange because like I guess they're so hugbox that they genuinely think that this actually is the reason why she's popular. And it turns into a free ad. Even for some of the Fox News watchers.
Oh no, they hate
the data centers. They hate Big Ag. They want to write to
one
repair.
Of the scariest days for Fox News was the Bernie town hall years ago. Like when the crowd pop that Bernie was getting at a Fox News event.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. Like the Fox people have to be very careful about how they package this stuff. And sometimes they fuck up. Like I think this is clipping this like this is a fuck up, I think.
Repair.
Yes.
Legalizing cannabis.
Yes.
Overturning Citizens United.
Yes.
A workers' bill of rights.
Yes.
A free Palestine.
Yes.
So that anti-American streamer that you just saw, Hasan Piker, who's by everybody's side right now on the far left.
It's not funny.
That is mad funny.
It's not funny.
It's really funny.
She's clocking my shit.
Anti-American streamer that you just saw, Hasan Piker, who's by everybody's side right now.
Dude, I love this. The way that they got the scroll going, like it's a now that's what I call music. Like some of your favorite pop hits.
Yeah, tax millionaires and billionaires more. Close corporate tax loopholes. Like half of this shit is like what Trump lied
No
about.
Scrubs by
half
TLC.
Of this shit is literally what Trump lied about doing, including closed corporate tax loopholes or the carried interest loopholes.
This is
the litmus
great.
test for what it takes to run as a Democrat socialist, apparently, and she's taken that test.
Like
She's
strengthen
got
antitrust enforcement. Why are they posting this? Regulate artificial intelligence.
Awesome. Protect workers from harmful uses of AI.
And yes, there's a lot more. A lot more. They share all these radical left policy positions. This is pretty unbelievable. Megan, we have gone a distance.
The peaceful
I'm sorry.
protest.
I think this actually might be okay, I almost don't want to say this because I think I
they're hyping her up.
No. I don't want to say this because I don't want to risk exposing our undercover king. but I actually think that this is the work of somebody who works at Fox News who understands exactly what they are doing. You know what I mean?
We were even a few weeks ago. Your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Again, she's not a Democrat. She should not be winning the primary. She shouldn't be.
You think Sorry, that one is awesome. Saving the one for last that every Fox News person is just like, if they saw that, you know, they like.
No,
like,
there's no way. I don't think they see it. I don't think they are looking at the. You're right. I think there's a producer that's just like, I'm gonna put this in here. Let's see how far we can go with this.
We see you.
King.
Keep it up.
There's a king that's working.
Winning the primary, she shouldn't be running on the Democratic ticket. And I would hope that the other, her opponent actually does win. And we saw last week in Michigan that polls don't always tell a complete story.
Excuse me, Megan, but if she's not a Democrat socialist, what is she? If she's not a Democrat, I mean, and by the way, Bernie Sanders was an independent since 1990, and he ran for the Democrat nomination.
My favorite is they're so used to saying Democrat instead of Democratic that they say Democrat socialist.
I didn't even notice that.
Oh yeah, no, they always say these are Democrat socialists. It's my favorite.
This is like one of these things too, where it's like how like Trump just like completely like controls their brain now. Like they all have to, you know, like
the little Trumpisms, little quirky ways
and
of
caucus
speaking
with Democrats. So, what is your description of Francesca Hong? Is she not part of your party?
She absolutely is not part of our party. Democrats.
I have some news for you. I have some news for you, lady.
It's just such a sad state of affairs.
You're going to want to sit down for this.
It's a sad state of affairs for a lot of these Democratic consultants that like, we are literally more the party than she is. And I think that's at the end of the day, that's what the problem is. Because like she represents Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield, where we represent the actual voters. So much so that in spite of the barrage of money that they dump into these races, the voters still actually overcome all of those smears and still go and vote for the insurgent left candidates.
I mean, you know, like these things come and go the other way, etc. What I just find like, you know, I can easily imagine a world in which, you know, like, you know, again, these tables turn. Like, you know, our side may have less sway within the Democratic Party at some point. It's, you know, these big wheel keep on turning, whatever. The thing is like, I can't understand the hubris here. Like to say, like, could you imagine any left winger right in this moment saying like, seriously, like you're saying like the party represents her less. You're not saying, oh, you're not in the party. You're not part of this. Like there's not like a, like there's there's a recognition that you,
I do say that for people who actually lend their support to the Republicans. Like that Mike LaRosa.
Yeah. The guy who like was essentially pushed out of his job in Biden world for being, there's a daily Google Michael LaRosa. Michael LaRosa, Michael LaRosa Daily Mail. There's a story that has the details on what went down with him.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was illegal to.
I'm sorry. It's illegal to be cool.
Yeah,
it's illegal to be a cool guy on a work trip and bringing back people that I want to hook up with to the
Secret Service,
to a Secret Service protected floor where members of the first family is staying. Ooh,
yeah,
that's a problem now.
I didn't realize.
And now I work for Ballard Partners, which literally has contracts to represent Libyan warlords and
the Trump administration. I think, right?
Well, not that. Well, you don't lobby. You can't represent the Trump administration, but I think he's representing the UAE or Saudi.
Oh,
I forget which, but you get the idea. No, but like the like I don't think the point is that like I just don't think
representing the Trump administration.
Like, I don't know a single like DSA person who just like doesn't subscribe to like the reality principle that these people are clearly rejecting.
Yeah.
Live in a free market society. Nobody in the Democratic Party with any
El-Sayed is not in your party either.
No, El-Sayed actually doesn't associate with being a socialist. He has some far left policies, but he actually does say he's a capitalist. So that is a Democratic stance. So there's a little bit of a difference here. But I do think if Hong does win the nomination, we have a better chance of winning the governor's race in Texas than we do in Wisconsin.
Well, I'm confused about why you think El-Sayed is a capitalist. I mean, he's got some of the same policies that Mom, because
Wait,
he
what'd
said
she say?
Well,
because he said it.
Oh, because he said it.
He says she loves Thanksgiving, but she's also anti-American.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Can you trust these brown people, these non-whites, and the things that they say about Thanksgiving, and also whether they're a socialist or not?
Come on.
Can you even trust them, really?
Bro, I'm so tired. Like, we're going to be hearing about this Thanksgiving shit for forever. And it's not for just, I want to be clear. Like, this is so not her fault. Like she did, like vindicated. Like she's doing fine. This is like I feel
shit
so
about to make me say cancel Thanksgiving.
I mean, seriously, dude. Now like my any feelings of like oppositional defiance that I have are just like kicking in. I just want to be like we are doing like at this point. I want people like
you know how like with Zoran they wouldn't invite him to the 9/11 memorial, or they're trying to get him.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, Wisconsin is holding a Thanksgiving turkey dinner, and Francesa Hong is not invited.
They're gonna do something even dumber, where it's like we asked for Thanksgiving turkeys, and they don't want Francesa Hong at their dinners. Like, that's I'm calling my shot on that one. Somebody's gonna do a version of that.
Yeah,
love it. I mean, when does it count when you say it? It doesn't make it true. You got to show us through your policies, and he's aligned with Mamdani, which is all day long taking from the rich to spend on whatever he wants to spend it on, whether it helps the people or not. At least that's what it looks like if you live in New York right now. Cassie?
Well, but I think this gets to a larger point. What Megan is saying, if they're not Democrats, and if the majority of Democrat voters are saying, I don't identify with these far-left candidates, then the problem for not just DSA, but for Democrats is winning in November. What do? You've allowed your party to be totally co-opted by these people to run on your ticket, and you're not giving people an option because the Democrat Party nationally and writ large, in these state parties as well, was asleep at the wheel, didn't take them seriously. Mamdani was an outlier. Colorado was an outlier. El-Sayed is an outlier. Now is Francesa Hong an outlier? This is the National Democrat Party this cycle. And so either they're going to win with a bunch of Democrat socialists and have to embrace them, or the Democrats are about to find themselves completely obsolete and completely taken over, and will they ever win a local, state, or national election ever again? It's a big issue.
Well, some headlines today are blaring the alarm over the rise of socialism in America. Viva la DSA, for Democrat Socialists of America. Revolution abolishing the Senate and presidency are only a few things on this list. Another socialism is here, and it is serious. As religion recedes, politics takes its place. One tenet of socialism, massive taxes on Americans, its leaders deemed wealthy. And one would think the co-chair of the Democrat Socialists of America would understand the assignment.
Pretty funny.
Watch this.
We do believe in taxing the hell out of millionaires. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what does taxing the hell out of them mean?
Yeah, you know, I don't have like
I'll
a
be right
solid,
back.
but I think.
But shouldn't you?
I
mean, if you're the co-chair, of the DSA, shouldn't you be more specific than just taxing the hell out of something?
I'm gonna keep it $1.50. David Remnick cooked her a little bit on this one. This is the only time where I will say this was a little bit of a, Megan's great. I love her. I respect her. I think she's done a lot of great work. I just, I wish she had an answer on the spot with that one.
What exactly do you mean?
So yeah, we need to look at what we need to pay for in the interim, what sort of tax base we need for that to happen, and then and build from there.
So Megan, we have to take.
Because here's the thing, this is not a friendly conversation. If you're DSA, none of these conversations that are taking place are friendly. You have to treat it like a hostile media interview, no matter what, even if they are being friendly. And David is friendly, broadly speaking. But he's doing that on purpose. He's doing that to create a false sense of security so we can get clips off like that. For sure. There's got to be like pre-canned responses for all of it.
Their word for it. We have to believe what they say according to you, but can you even make sense of that?
No, absolutely not. Again, these people are not Democrats. They should not be allowed to run on a Democratic ticket. And I agree with Cassie that the national party should have stepped in long ago.
What are you saying? Like, does more than half of the fucking voter base, is the plurality or the majority of the voter base? Like, what are you talking about? Who's we? How many votes have you won? Who the fuck is we? What elected position are you in? How many Democratic voters have voted for you or your platform? Because we can look at the numbers. It's the voters that are making these decisions. It's the Democratic voters that are making these decisions, and they like these candidates. That's why they're voting for them. It's very strange.
But we're in this situation and we have to figure out what we're going to do now. But again, these people have extreme policies that do not make sense. The governor is a different animal than, of course, people running for Senate. It's much harder to make laws when you are one of a body of 100 in the Senate, like El-Sayed. But the problem here is that she's running against
That's
someone.
why you all are arguing. I want to
It's
give Cassie the last 10 seconds before we have to go. Thank you, Megan. Cassie?
Listen, I don't envy Megan's position. I don't envy pragmatic Democrat voters' positions. But on the Republican side, there's an opportunity here that history tells us we should not have right now. And I hope that all of our candidates, I think we are, Tom Tiffany being a great example of one.
Oh, is it because your president sucks dog shit? Like it's his only source of substance? Why is it? Why does history show? Why does history show that the Republicans shouldn't have an opportunity here? Did I say substance? Sustenance. I apologize. I'm eating. How much longer until they start yelling at voters? This is a way to yell at the voters. Yelling at me is a way to yell at the voters.
Who's taking the issues head on, meeting with the voters, and not having to deal. And we would welcome the opportunity to debate the people like Francesa Hong and put these issues on a November ballot so that they can be settled once and for all.
That would be spicy if it happens that way. We'll be watching that primary tomorrow in Wisconsin. The big dim stars are out. Democrat heavyweights rallying behind far-left Senate nominee Abdul El-Sayed after he won the Michigan primary last week. And he was campaigning and going around with a guy who's got that toxic stream. Even so, El-Sayed now is scrambling to distance himself from his friend, influencer Hasan Piker, who, among other toxic things, has said America deserved 9/11. El-Sayed said he spoke with former President Obama after his Michigan primary victory. He said it was a really warm and inspiring conversation. The night before his victory, El-Sayed was hanging out with Piker at the pool. Watch El-Sayed play dodgeball here.
Do you plan to continue to campaign with Hasan Piker in the general election campaign?
Look, I'm less concerned now with who I'm campaigning with, a lot more concerned about who I'm campaigning to.
Do you disavow those comments that America deserved 9/11?
Of course. Of course it was a dumb statement. And of course, I think Hasan himself would say that was a dumb statement. He disavowed it. So yes, America didn't deserve 9/11.
Saying something is dumb does not even elevate your disavowing it to where it should be. It was cruel. It was thoughtless. And it could have been true. We still don't know.
Wait, what did they want him to do? Kill me? Yeah, clutch your pearls harder, Fox News. It's so funny because it's exactly the kind of statement that I would expect Trump to make and then Fox News to defend endlessly. Yeah, now that he disavowed the statement, they're like, he didn't disavow it hard enough. First they say he didn't disavow it, then they're saying he disavowed it, but not hard enough.
Senator John Fetterman thinks El-Sayed's ties to Piker and his anti-Israel stance could cost his party a must-hold Michigan Senate seat. Watch.
I dare you to continue to campaign with people like Hasan Piker, because he now will quickly find out it's easy to campaign in the echo chamber as a Democrat, but when you have to convince other people or people that are open to voting on either side, you know, I think you're going to be interesting to see how he chooses to disavow or now pretend that he hasn't just said and done these things just through this entire campaign.
And as Fetterman says, just pretend.
Why was he wearing a suit? Was it Yahoo in town?
I'm saying I dare you to campaign with Hasan Piker.
AOC, Kamala Harris. Now notice their names are being thrown into the pile for, well, they might run for president next time. So of course they have to cozy up to the guy who just won Michigan. Veteran strategist, or the primary there, veteran strategist James Carville, you'll notice is not on that list.
I think that the progressive left, they're very tech people. I think they've come up with an AI random stupid idea generator. And I think the stupid idea generator can think of things that humans can't, like canceling Thanksgiving or being against interracial dating. So I'm just waiting to the next stupid idea AI generator that comes out, spits out of that.
In focus with me now, Ben Ferguson, podcast host. Just want to get your top line thoughts.
Wait, what?
Yeah, look, I think what you're witnessing right now is the Democrats have created a mad laboratory for Marxism, and these are the candidates that are coming out of it, and these are the ideas that are coming out of it, and the test ground for this is the battleground states in places like Michigan and Wisconsin. But let's also be very clear. This all started back when Barack Obama was president. He bottle-fed these ideas. He bottle-fed these types of candidates. He created them and brought them
Muslim
into the
communist
tent.
Barack Obama.
And when you have these now radical Marxists and communists and socialists who have taken over the Democratic Party, this was not an accident. This is where the Democratic Party has been going for a long time. When you have people that say that America deserved 9/11, that is not an accident. They believe it. When the Democratic Socialists of America say last week in an interview, they believe that Israel doesn't have a right to exist from the river to the sea.
I don't know if I can
what
hear
terrorists,
this
Hamas
guy.
and Hezbollah chant and what they say. This is now the Democratic Party. They created this, and they're endorsing it. They're advocating for it, and most importantly, Harris, they're now funding it with.
The DSA's national platform has declared Estonia has no right to exist. Notice how that doesn't do anything for you. Maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe you have a special place in your heart for Estonia. But it's like so funny that these guys are just like, oh, I can't believe that's a DSA position.
Yeah, but again, this is I don't know, man.
Who the fuck cares?
Yeah, it's why is there like a video game we could be talking about? I mean, like, literally anything would be more
Millions and millions and millions of dollars.
You know, just moments ago, it was announced, and maybe it came out earlier, but now it's official that former President Barack Obama is going to have a new podcast. It's basically taking people through books that they don't have time to read, simultaneously with getting back out there. We know he had
I saw this list of Obama books, and some of them I don't care about, some of them I don't care about. A couple of books I do care about are on there. Specifically, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy by John le Carre. And everybody should read that book. Everybody has time to read that book. Everybody has time to read books. That was an incredibly condescending remark of hers. Everybody should read books. Thank you. Just, that annoyed me.
Nerd.
Like, why did reading catch a stray there? She was yelling at you. Stay yelling at Hasan. Why does reading?
What do you mean? She's speaking to her base. Well, they're illiterate.
That is fair.
90% of commentary on this dog shit ass platform is literally talking about how if you're learned, you're woke and gay, and you should kill yourself.
That is true, and people kind of forget that, like, that for a long time. I mean, now, like, this is part of what the culture war stuff obfuscates, because, like, you can launder being, like, stupid and hating learning through, like, resisting experts and questioning authority. Yeah. And, you know, like, hating going to the doctor is now, like, medical skepticism. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, no, you're just a lazy piece of shit and you didn't grow up. Anyway, I think of
messed up that you said that. It's called realistic vaccine scrutiny.
Well, I assume you also. I don't know. Did you talk about the vaccine news earlier?
The child vaccine.
Yeah, that bummed me out. Yeah, that bummed me out, man.
No, we just heard him deliver a speech after he JD Pondon struck once again to eradicate. To continue his permanent first world genocide.
It's also this thing of like, there's no, like, truly with this stuff, I do not understand it's for. I'll be honest. Like, I understood the, like, humoring the RFK Jr. stuff when you were running for office because of what he thought it gave him and everything. I just don't like.
No, he doesn't have anything.
Like,
no,
who's the so it's just you're doing it for lack of doing anything else.
You don't have anything. So you.
I mean, great. Okay, sorry. That also said Trump does. He's never said it publicly because he's too pussy, perhaps. But like, there is clearly a like thing with Trump about vaccines and autism because of like because of the link between old guy sperm and whatever. Like he's got that same anxiety that other old men with young children have about vaccines and autism.
Yeah, he has said it. It's because he thinks that in the past he tweeted out that like you got to space the vaccines out. So technically the policy that he signed into law, he has actually advocated for. I do think it's funny though that's like, I think he genuinely cares about that, but also more importantly than that, he's just like, he knows his base is hemorrhaging. So he's trying to hold on to whatever he can. And this is probably one of the easiest ones to
was how
get a bone
El-Sayed
in.
put it, together. over the weekend after El-Sayed's win. What do you make of Obama in all of this? Does it matter? Does his endorsement matter?
Look, I think Obama's endorsement matters, and I think putting out there, quote, we had a warm conversation, tells you, wink, wink, nod, nod, I'm absolutely behind this guy. And
why would it matter? Isn't he a Muslim commie? I thought he sucked. It's just strange. This guy who sucks, his endorsement matters for the other guy who sucks?
Well, it's also telling the rest of the party, you better get in line. You have one thing that's also happening while we're seeing and witnessing the growth of this extremism, and that is the former leadership of the Democratic Party, the Chuck Schumers. They are paralyzed because they don't know what to do to stop this. And they realize no one's listening to them anymore. Barack Obama is pushing it this way. The Democrats fall in line. They're looking, by the way, at 2028. Let's be clear. This is a mad scientist laboratory for who they're going to put out there in 2028. If I made a prediction today, it is AOC.
This is a mad. I love these people, dude. Like, they commit new crimes.
They're illiterate.
Like, this is a mad scientist laboratory.
They're illiterate.
A mad scientist. What the fuck does that mean? It's a mad. It's a mad. Hasan. It's a mad scientist laboratory.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know what you don't understand.
No, Hasan.
It's not Dexter. It's a mad
Hasan,
scientist.
you don't understand. It's a mad scientist laboratory.
Yeah. They're making mad scientists in the laboratory.
I hate this, man.
Where do you think they make the mad scientists?
In a laboratory.
Where they work on mad scientists, like in the invention of new mad scientists.
It is Chuck Schumer hoping she gets a nomination so maybe he can stay in charge as a figurehead for a little bit longer. Otherwise, she's probably going to primary Chuck Schumer. She says, oh, I'm just looking at Congress right now. No, she's not. The Democratic Socialists of America are saying we're coming for the entire country. We are winning and winning often now with the...
Again, shouldn't you be excited at this? Because they suck, right?
Well, yeah, this is their... I mean, well, this is like, I mean, admittedly, this is like an age-old, like, reactionary, like, anxiety, right? Which is that, like, they're powerless, they're feckless, they can't deliver possibly on any of these, like, ridiculous dreams they have, but also they're a direct threat to our way of life, and our tolerance of them is a sign of weakness that we must suppress at all turns because we have to exterminate them.
But I don't understand, because it doesn't seem like they're it doesn't seem like they're confident they could defeat the socialists. Kind of feels like they're worried.
These types of candidates and ideas. And the message is also clear. We hate America. We think it's fundamentally flawed. We want to destroy what it is now. We hate Jews, by the way. You're not welcome either. We also believe America deserved 9/11. This is who they are. When they tell you this, believe them.
Look, you mentioned AOC. It's interesting because part of the far left, those Democrat socialists, they want to get, not part of it, part of their platform and the DSA platform is to get rid of the U.S. presidency. So what are you running for?
Yes.
I mean, it just sounds like a bunch of made up stuff. El-Sayed, by the way, if you're keeping score, is sticking to his support for government-run socialized health care. Watch this.
Yeah, we don't have to live like this. We have an opportunity to guarantee cradle-to-grave health care.
Would you need to increase taxes?
As I've said across this campaign, I am for taxing billionaires their wealth.
You are effectively acknowledging that people making less than $1 million could see their taxes go up. I just want to be very clear. Is that a yes?
Damn it, I hate them so much.
I'm saying that we'd be paying for health care in a different way.
Less than $1 million, that number that a lot of people make a year.
But also, all she's doing is soundbite mining. Because he describes how...
No, it's about they just want to fish for the answer of, like, will you raise taxes on the middle class?
Yeah.
Like, that's what they want.
So they can hit, like... So they can hit that in attack ads. Like, she's trying to farm an attack ad clip moment.
I mean,
and it's really fucking annoying.
Well, listen, man. It's only Meet the Press. You know, the marquee interview program in NBC.
Yeah.
It's important that we not ask questions about the budget implications of something. It's important that we frame it like this incredibly.
No, this is after I listened to the interview. He very clearly describes that you pay so much in premiums right now, and
so this is actually just the farming clip because she did the substantive part, and now they're
she goes, okay,
that's even worse.
You've brought up the
that's
fact
shameless,
that
dude. That's even worse. I thought Abdul's campaign promise was more money in your pocket. This sounds like a lot like
more money for the
Like
government. I know it's complicated for you, Habibi. I'm happy to teach you how this works at our next debate if you're not too much of a coward to debate. Damn, 50K likes. Dude, his whole like Taylor Swift dancing, like everything that he does that I think is like cornball shit, I think plays so well for like the millennial moms and stuff.
What? Which part?
Him dancing to Taylor Swift, doing the Blues Clues shit, like even his like Roger.
I mean, look, like I think people underestimate the degree to which like charisma is like just not like a, you know, it's a thing that like not everybody has it. Sometimes it hits you, and like, you know, like because like look, like right, like if I'm Mallory McMorrow, I'm pissed because like I did the dancing ad and everybody made fun of me, and Abdul El-Sayed dances and everybody likes him. And, you know, you could say that, like, there's probably something that's fair to be said about, like, men and women and representations of them in media and misogyny, sure. But I think we have to, if we're being honest, right? Like, we know that it's because, like, Abdul El-Sayed, he's a charismatic guy. He kind of exudes it. It's natural for him. It doesn't look forced. He, like, sells it. And not everybody sells it. And that's okay. You know, there are people on the other side of the aisle who unbelievable, like, in fact, there's some people, like our president, who in the act of how little he tries to sell anything is like his own kind of authenticity that people relate to. You know, that's a kind of charisma too. And that's not taught. So it's like, to me, that's part of the like Abdul magic in that situation, or like that piece of it, right? Is that like, it's not just that like he's corny or whatever. It's that like,
it's the hello human resources.
Yeah, exactly. There is just some guys, like, you know, people are happy to talk to him.
Well, Haley Stevens was that charismatic, but the voters made the wrong decision because they're stupid.
I see Israel in my dreams.
He doesn't know the answer to that question.
Israel,
I mean, come on.
me in my dreams.
Yeah.
Glad we're on the same
Slogans
page
sound great,
there.
but we know nothing is really free. And also, even if you tax the blank out of the billionaires, like that one far left socialist said, it's still not going to be enough to cover this. Government-run socialized health care would mean a massive new tax burden on just about everybody. Estimates put the increase from $1.5 trillion to more than $4 trillion. Taking the middle ground of those estimates equates to roughly 15 to 21,000 per tax return every year. Nationalized health care would also reduce employer contributions.
They're so nasty. One, the concept of a moral hazard is never mentioned. She didn't even bring up moral hazard because that's like old school Republicanism. But the concept of a moral hazard is never mentioned when it comes to unlimited corporate welfare. And two, on that same exact same wavelength, they never talk about how many billions we are burning to fight Israel's war against Iran.
Well, this is though where it's like, I think in this case too, it's like, do I trust the Mercatus and Paragon Institute? I know what Mercatus is. I don't know what the Paragon Institute is. And their presentation of this, like, no, I don't especially do. And also, like, do these expenditures create savings elsewhere that are not accounted for in these particular estimates? Like, I don't, you know, like I trust the estimates that come from the people with whom I'm ideologically sympathetic. Sue me. They typically bear out on the evidence more because that's why I share that disposition. Anyway. Point being as well, like, I think that there is just like you're never going to get like a particularly, it's Fox News, man. You know, you ever see Chinatown? Have you seen that movie?
No.
There's a line in it, forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown. Forget it, Hasan, it's Fox News.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And take away choices for family. Remember that stuff that Obama's camp used to say, you can keep your doctor. No, you can't. You absolutely can't, because you can't afford for everybody to keep their doctor under their plan.
Why?
Yeah, this is the largest tax increase we've ever seen in the history of this country that's being proposed now by these socialists. But this is about control. And if you can then take away everything,
the populist counter to this is so easy. And it also automatically makes them look like weirdly technocratic. And therefore, on the losing side of this argument, you're like, we're burning $1 billion a day.
Yeah, no, that one is simple because it is just like, if you believe that money is this, that like our resources are that finite in this, then it's like, why are we, why is the straight closed?
Yeah, we're burning.
Why is straight close?
We're burning $1 billion a day. Shut the fuck up. We have enough money for healthcare. You just want to make sure that it reroutes back to, you know, corporate pockets, which is, you know, there is truth to that as well. So like the cost saving that the average American will face, instead of paying sky high premiums, they'll be paying a little bit of it as a, let's say, national insurance.
Well, also there's just access that will expand, both on the level of like, you know, there are people who, if they're not uninsured, like they're insured like I am,
and it's cheaper
with policies that are
and
just
it's cheaper
like,
overall.
Unworkable.
Cheaper
Oh,
than
the
country.
admin costs are way more efficient. I mean, there's no. I don't know. There's like
but that's
not
the problem.
Yeah,
GDP diminishes.
Well, but this is like there's a joke about like, you know, two economists, and it's like, what? Do you know the one?
Everyone always makes fun of me for using that joke.
It's a good joke.
Look, they're all going, we all know it. The Hasan classic. Two economists walk into the woods. There's a piece of dog shit on the ground. First one says, hey, if you eat that, I'll give you $100. They keep walking. Second economist sees a piece of dog shit, says, hey, if you eat that dog shit, I'll give you $100. Second economist says, sure. Eats it, gives the $100 back. They keep walking. They go, why do we do this? The economist says, hey,
don't feel so bad.
We just increased the GDP by $200. $200 of economic activity, baby.
No, it's a great joke. I love it.
Same party, let's be clear, that says if you've got a really nice house, we don't think you should be able to have it. New York is dealing with this right now. If you have a lot of money, we want to take not some of it, Harris, we want to take all of it from you. And we want to take your doctor from you. We want to take your plan from you. We want to take private health care away. You are going to live under our Marxist rule. This is Marxism. It is
so funny because the pied-à-terre tax is for like $5 million and above, I think, right?
Yeah, it's like I don't know what to,
I know it's New York City, but like,
I mean, he's just bugging. I don't know what to say. Like what do you? And also, like, it's also the pied-à-terre thing. Like, I'll say this: one of the things about like, I think Kathy Hochul is one of the better political weather vanes in the country right now. Like, if you want to see where somebody thinks the wind is blowing in the Democratic Party, look at what she's doing. And I'm not saying that she's earnestly convicted on a bunch of stuff, but like, she pays attention to what's going on, and she's made to because of Zoran's success in her state. And so one of the ones that I point to on this is how she's approached the pied-à-terre tax, which is the fact that the mechanism by which they've gone about revealing how, you know, all the pied-à-terre and everything, like, and evaluating it, they're also digging up all these people who
are tax cheats.
And so there is like, you know, like there's no world in which like a politician who breathes oxygen, you know what I mean, is going to like run away from the ability to like go at like fat cat tax cheats where like the proof is in the pudding there.
Yeah.
And it's not like
I love that was my favorite. That was my favorite revelation of people being like, wait a minute, I live in New York, and it's like, okay. So you're just not paying New York residency
and it's not
tax.
like it's not a concern of industry as much, right? Like you're not going to get like industry lobbyists like pouring in and so on. Like it's a much like there are reasons that it's like a political issue that somebody like her can get her arms around more than others is what I mean.
Just pissing
there.
off like what's his name, Scott Galloway.
Yeah, you're not angry. You're not like taking on like all the landlords, for an example.
Who I personally don't like. So I'm glad that he's getting.
Well, he's just mad because his whole thing now is that he's a guy who tells people like, pay attention to young men. Like young men need role models.
Yeah, and now young men are saying he's also another one of those guys who's like weirdly very invested in Israel.
I don't. 10 years ago, Scott Galloway was an NYU business school professor of marketing who accurately predicted that Amazon would buy Whole Foods, and then like his media profile blew up. And now I read about like what he thinks about like the crisis of masculinity is. I'm just saying, it doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah, the problem is like he's Mr. young masculinity, but all the young masculine men hate Israel, and he's talked about how the reason why these campuses are like doing. Remember what he said? What he said, they're not enough. That's why young people are not having sex. That's why they're doing these college encampments.
I mean, look, he's most of his insight is pretty self-discrediting, but like I think in this case, a lot of what he seems to offer and the reason that people seem to respond to it, aside from just respecting him for the platform that he already has, is that it's because he is offering a way of like talking about the masculinity crisis that isn't right coded, but is instead like meant to be coded for like MSNBC style people.
Yeah.
Here, it is the Democratic Party. I said this on your show a couple years ago. I believe the Democratic Party is dead. I believe it's been taken over, and they lied to the voters. They say, oh, no, we're Democrats because they didn't think America could handle the word Marxist or communist. But now it's in your face. They're telling you they're going to take your money, they're going to take your businesses, they're going to take your homes, and they're going to tell you that this country is a disaster, so therefore we have to remake it. This is why Democrats like James Carville are terrified. Or as another one put it this way, we quote, we're in mortal danger. I wrote it down. There was a Democratic strategist that said right now the Democratic Party is in mortal danger. Why? Because they understand their party is dead. They are now the Communist Party of America.
Well, Megan Hayes on this very program a couple of blocks ago, earlier this hour. They aren't us. She doesn't claim the socialists as Democrats. It's fascinating. Yet they give them...